Hello, everyone. The Ori community is proud to welcome all of you back for another year of the Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills Tournament. We are here with the beginning of our qualifier round in this tournament. We have a little bit of a different format this time around. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's going to start with some qualifier races, one of which you'll get to see tonight, but we're actually going to have a total of 21 of these. They're going to be kind of spaced out over the coming 2 weeks. At the end of that, the top 32 runners are going to be able to advance to a bracket. So for now, what we're going to bring you is an exhibition of this qualifier of the All Skills tournament. In this tournament, we've got 50 entrants this time. Last year, we had 70. It's a little bit of a decrease, and part of the reason for that is that this isn't the only tournament we're doing this spring, and I'm joined by Sigma today. Sigma, why don't you tell us a little bit about what else we're doing?
Yeah, following this tournament up, we're going to be going through the same format, qualifiers into bracket, for an all-cells tournament. So if you like seeing, the beautiful in-game backgrounds of Ori, you can watch all skills and see the people do it inbounds, but, there's out-of-bounds backgrounds too. They're just solid colors, but you get to see those too when you do all-cells, because we don't care about walls in that category.
Indeed, and I know several members of the community will be very excited for that tournament in particular. So I'm very excited to see that, but I'm also very excited for this race, Sigma. And we've got 4 good runners that we're going to feature here tonight. Why don't you tell me a little bit about 2 of them?
Yeah, so I'd like to look at this race as kind of 2 heads. We've got 2 pairs of runners that are pretty close to each other. Richard and Cheese both played in one of the qualifiers earlier today and came in 2 seconds apart. So we're going to be watching that matchup. That one's going to be pretty sick. And there's also Primarix and Lupulu going at it. They'll, come in a little bit slower than Richard and Cheese, likely, but they're going to be fighting for the lead between the 2 of them. So that's going to be a pretty fun head-to-head to watch as well.
Yeah, I agree. We had Richard and Cheese, as you mentioned, coming very, very close to one another in the preceding race just a little while ago. And this is actually also going to be the 3rd race of the day for both Richard and Lupulu, actually. They've already participated in races. The first one of the day was 11 hours ago. So, whew. But they're gonna be putting on the best show possible. Richard came really close to a PB earlier. We'll see if he can pull that off. Cheese Lover, meanwhile, mostly just looking to get back some of his consistency. Primoric's a brand new runner, Sigma. That's one of my favorite things, is showing off new runners that we haven't gotten to see before on this stage.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we'll be trying to show off as many of them as we can through these qualifiers. Now, this isn't just 4 people running this qualifier. I believe there's 15 people signed up for this one, but we can't follow that many screens in any kind of coherent way. So we're looking at these 4. There's 15 people racing and trying to set their times to get into the bracket. And this race is going to be getting kicked off pretty shortly.
Yeah, and because this is the first race that we will be broadcasting for you here in this tournament, we will do our best to explain some of the details of the Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills, no out of bounds, no teleport anywhere run, as we are started now. We're going to have Lupulu in the bottom right there. He's getting the little head start on the Twitch delay. And Richard in the top left, Primorix in the bottom left, and Cheese Lover in the top right, in an order that is difficult for viewers to follow because I just crisscrossed across the screen, but you're going to have to deal with it because we are underway.
Yep, that's right. So everybody's just going to be hopping over to go grab our first skill of the game, our Buddy's Sign, which gives us a basic kind of auto-attack type thing with which to destroy the enemies in. And we'll be getting the stream synced as well as we do
that. And we are coming up pretty quickly to that sign pickup. This is basically the first thing that pretty much every category of this game has to do. You mostly can't get along too much without having sign around to use a Spirit Flame, but as it turns out, there are certain circumstances where you can. But in any case, in all skills, this is a skill. We need it. We're going to pick it up, and then we're going to get to do a little bit of a scripted encounter here.
Yeah, everything up till now has been fairly simple, so everybody's synced up. But you can start to see differences come up here. Every runner will be trying to kill these funkies as optimally as possible. Cheese, I think, had the best fight. Well, almost, actually. Richards was a little bit better. I think maybe Cheese was a bit slow in that last Frankie, but they are all through that fight Loopy actually looks to be ahead out of the 4 of them here, and Cheese Richard pretty synced. Primarex just a little bit behind, and now we'll be going through Glades, trying to grab some experience, trying to set up our health for another trick coming up as well.
Yeah, we're gonna be discovering the magic of keystones in just a moment. There's a number of doors in this game. They have keystones that you're required to collect to open them, and what you can also do is skip their opening animation. There's about a 4-second animation where the door slowly opens before you. But what these runners are going to do is they're going to try to make sure they're at low health so that they can put the keystones in the door, make a save. The game allows you to save at any location you choose with restrictions on energy amounts, and then just dump themselves right into that poison water, take a quick death. Richard on the top left just did it, Loopy Loo as well, Cheese there, Primorix also getting his in, and all 4 runners are through the door. Saves just a couple seconds, but there's going to be a lot of little things like that throughout this run.
Yeah, that is right, and the early game can be pretty scary, especially when you're in this no reset qualifier / tournament race type situation, because you do want to get your health low for stuff like that, and if you take a hit, you don't have that much opportunity to save. Primarex is getting beat up in the elbow here, but has enough health to survive. Will, I think, be down to 1 now, but there's a health drop from that slime for him, so it's going to be good. And Loopy is ahead here. I believe that's due to the skip of the 4th health cell. Every runner took that for safety, but they're going to go with 3, and we'll see how that goes. That can be a little scary.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold decision. Loopy having a PB in the 34 range, which is kind of the range where you think, 8 seconds for skip. Actually, it's 4 seconds for not taking that health cell there. Maybe you could just eat the 4 seconds, but Loopy says, no, I'm gonna take that time. Important to note about health in this game, you start with 3. Health cells are not all that common in this speed run. We will be picking up at most 3. And most likely 2 for most of the runners, but we'll see how that works out over time. And things deal a lot of damage, so it's going to be a little bit dicey at times.
Yeah, that's right. We grabbed that health just for a forced damage boost that does at least 4 in the final escape. But there's a lot of stuff that'll one-shot us before then. Loopy had a little bit of trouble climbing up through the rocks up out of Glades. So Cheese has now taken lead amongst our 4 racers. Richard now getting up there as well. Primarex just a little bit behind. All the runners being careful not to take too many hits to the side here, because we're still fairly low on energy, and you want to keep your health coming up to this next area, Blackroot Burrows.
Yeah, that's right. Having acquired the first non-sign skill of the game, I guess the first movement skill of the game, wall jump from the skill tree back just a little while ago, now all the runners are able to kind of get around the world a lot more conveniently, and the first place they will go is that area of Blackroot Burrows. And as they come to the entrance here, we're going to see the first kind of interesting major glitch here. They're going to open up their save menu, which allows them to learn abilities, and they use a little trick to get access to move while this ability menu is up. They'll enter a cutscene trigger and then learn an ability you just saw on Cheese and Loopy screens, and that automatically saves the game. And having already triggered the cutscene, when they save the game, it believes the cutscene's already done, so it, upon reloading, just skips it entirely.
Yeah, and we see another difference here coming out between Cheese and Loopy as they enter into Blackroot. Actually, I believe everybody except for Loopy took Magnet. Loopy picked up Quick Flame. Quick Flame lets you kill a boss in the Ginso Tree, which is, halfway through the run, a little bit faster, but it means you have to do some upcoming tricks and experience management without the ability to set the experience in automatically. But Loopy misses a jump out of the orb room in Blackroot, takes a death on those 3 damage spikes. And oh my gosh, Richard does too. It's just raining death in Blackroot.
Yeah, this area is terrifying for the obvious reasons. As you look at it, there's these small platforms, there's tons of spikes. All the spikes deal a ton of damage, so it is very, very easy to take a death here, as 2 of our runners already have. Most of the others getting by okay. You see Primorix just having made a jump up to collect some extra XP. All the runners did that pretty much. They're all looking to manipulate their XP a little bit and also get some level ups. They're going to need another ability point in the near future for a skip, but Blackroot Burrows, of course, the area we need to come here because there's another skill here, and Sigma, this is all skills.
Yeah, that's right. And, even if it wasn't, we might come here anyways, because this is the dash skill, and it lets you go so fast. So far, we've just seen people running, kind of hopping around, but once we get dashed, we can just tear along the ground. And it's also really useful for a bunch of tricks later. So this is a awesome skill that was added in DE, and everybody wants it. So they're heading there as soon as possible.
Yeah, Cheese navigating the last little obstacle right there, dropping his orb on that moving platform, which allows him to get past the laser, but is a little bit scary. Some of the newer runners will opt not to drop the orb on the moving platform, but rather you'll see there's a stationary one they could use instead. And you'll also see from Cheese Lover right now, he is setting up that same Save Anywhere trick. That's the one where you gain the ability to move with this ability menu up. And he will start this cutscene, learn an ability, and reload his game, and that skips the majority of that cutscene, so saving another little bit of time and allowing him to collect Dash.
Yep, so he's in that tree animation. Richard looking to be about 20 seconds behind, starting this cutscene and be doing his reload soon. Loopy Loo and Primarix both on the lever cutscene now. Primarix with a slight lead after Loopy Loo's death, and with Cheese leaving Blackroot, coming up to our next trick, the Frankie Walk. Now, we've been setting up our experience the entire time, taking specific amounts so that we can level up by killing one enemy here. A level up in this game has a bunch of useful effects. It blows up stuff on the screen, it heals you to full, it also fully restores your energy. So it lets us take the 2 energy we have and open a 4 energy door over on the right here, which lets us get to the double jump area a lot faster than you could normally. So everybody's going to be going for this. Cheese has got his Frankie in a good position to be up to the door soon. Richard's starting it up, and Primarix and Loopy Loo coming up to it now. Loopy Loo does not have magnets, so it's going to have a harder time with Frankie, but Cheese gets through, and we'll be heading on to the Death Gauntlet.
Yeah, and it's not called the Death Gauntlet, as Sigma just said, for no reason, because this area is terrifying. All these things deal a ton of damage. He had to swim in the water and take damage from that, which is poison. Oh, manages to get under that crusher, which, oh, good God, okay, nearly dropped into spikes, but he's okay. He's going to get past the slime there as well and make his way over here to the dropping bridge, so he's pretty safe. He's got a skip coming up in just a moment, so kind of keep one eye on his screen and another eye on some other screens where Richard's having some trouble. Cheese is now going for a cycle skip here, and he doesn't manage to get into those crushers before they close up, so he's going to have to wait one cycle. It's an 8-second time loss, not the worst thing in the world. And now look on the bottom right for Loopy Loo, and holy crap, Sigma, look at that.
Yeah, he gets his magnetless Frankie Walk, so he's into the Death Gauntlet now. Also with 3 health, so he's down to 1 now. Richard managed to survive despite some spooky moments in there, so he's going on to his cycle skip. He can make up some time on Cheese if he can get this dash ramp, and he just barely misses it, so he's going to have to wait on that pressure cycles.
Now, as Cheese is coming into double jump in the bottom left, Primorix, we're going to see if he will go for this early Grotto cycle. This is one of those kind of tricks. It's only 8 seconds, so it's one of the harder ones to kind of pick up and integrate. And you see he's not going for it, and there's not really any cost to going for it, but also you might just not be comfortable with it at all, so maybe you just don't even bother. And the top, top 2 runners on this screen, they're, more experienced. They put in a lot more time. Primorix literally picked up this game in January after AGDQ.
Yeah, and doing very well so far, especially considering how little time they've spent with it. So, Primarix getting to double jump. Loopy Loo right at the same screen right now as Richard is heading out. Cheese is tearing through Grotto right now. There's supposed to be more of this area, but with a couple tricky double jumps off the walls here and there, we can skip large sections of it. So we'll be going through a bunch of cutscenes. This is sort of something similar to what we saw before with using a save anywhere to skip cutscenes. We now have the Rekindle ability, so we can skip a bunch of cutscenes by placing a save, running into the cutscene, then reloading. So that's what all these game reloads going on right now are doing.
Indeed, you're going to see a bunch of those. One interesting note here between Cheese and Richard and Primorix and Loopy, there's a slight difference in control method where Cheese and Primorix and Loopy are all using keyboard and mouse. In fact, you can actually see that from what happened to Loopy. He is back in Blackroot Burrows. Did anyone catch that?
Jeez, that is unpleasant.
That he couldn't have.
It would have to have been a ghost door miss, right? The thing where you put the keystones in, you try to save and then die, and then you
no, because he was going to the tree.
Oh, you're right. What the heck?
Oh, he may have learned the wrong ability. Oh, that's Ooh.
Oh, jeez.
Man, that's incredibly rough. That's a huge, huge setback for him. And I mean, there may be other ways for him to have fixed that, but thinking of that in the middle of the qualifier race is incredibly difficult. Also, it's really late for him. He lives in the UK at 3 a.m. I'm not sure how well I would think of backup strats either.
Yeah, that's a good point. But quickly deciding to just I've got to fix this by going back and is making good progress through the Death Gauntlet again. But that's going to be a big time loss. See, Cheese will be our first player to Ginso, getting in just over 12 minutes. So pretty nice Ginso time. Richard bringing up the rear a little bit as Primarix also getting out of Grotto, and Loopy going for Grotto Cycle version 2 does not make it in this time.
Indeed. So as Cheese is beginning the Ginso Tree, this is the first dungeon of the game. There are 3. Kind of the overall objective of the game, in the general sense, is to go to the 3 dungeons and restore the 3 elements of the elements. And to be able to get into each dungeon, you need a key. So you need to get the key, go to the dungeon, get the next key, go to the next dungeon, etc. We're actually going to skip the majority of all of the dungeons. But the Ginso Tree in nearly its entirety is required. So Cheese is progressing through here, getting through the first half-ish of the tree. He's trying to get to the middle to get the bash skill, which is an incredibly nice skill that you both need in this run, and of course also need to use it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It lets you redirect projectiles here. We get kind of a fun intro to redirecting projectiles with these moving blocks that Cheese is pushing around right now. But later we just get to redirect them wherever we want. And that's super powerful. So Cheese coming into this mini boss. Optimally, you can kill this thing in 4 cycles, but it's really, really, really hard. So most runners will be very happy with a 5 cycle, or honestly whatever they can get. Where it pops up is random, but you can see where it pops up for 1 frame in advance of where it appears. So sometimes runners will kind of psychically move over to its next spawn location. Cheese takes an intentional hit on the spikes there to set up his health for another ghost door, which is coming up just in a few rooms, but didn't save after the mini boss, so that's part of the health setup because you want to heal off of your save. So it'll be a little spooky here. Need to be careful about how much damage you take, and we'll be getting bashed shortly.
Indeed, as Richard is working on the redirect puzzle just before that mini-boss, Primorix on the second room of Ginso. So actually closing in a little bit on Richard, but Richard is going to be counting on his experience to be able to maintain that lead. Of course, this is a qualifier race. The way the qualifiers work is that they're based on your average of your 3 best times in qualifier races. And so actually it technically does not matter who wins or loses per se. Every runner is just going for the best time they can get. But for entertainment purposes, it's cool to see who is going to win or lose here.
Yeah, that's right. These are previews of bracket matches that could very well happen. So we'll see what we get. She's going through some fancy movement here. Oh, he did not kill the mortar worm. He's gonna have to do a backup. And he recognizes it right away. He's gonna fall down and do a save on a lower platform. He's just trying to save a second, pretty much, on this key duplication coming up. I guess to explain what that is, since we haven't done that yet, placing keys into a door while you're dead, and then respawning away from where the door is loaded will just restore those keys to your inventory, despite the fact that you hadn't collected them yet at the time you saved. So now Cheese has 3 extra keystones in his inventory, and we'll be able to use those on later doors, because collecting them here is way faster than collecting them in the next area.
Alright, we got some confirmation from a helper in the truck that we're gonna bring that word back segment. We're gonna do it. What happened to Loopy Loo is he did the blind movement, leaving the double jump tree, and unfortunately got caught in a death loop in the water there. So he felt that he had to reload. I think there are ways out of that, but it's really tough if you're in a bad spot.
Yeah, so I think sometimes you actually can get stuck because you don't have an extra save to get yourself out of there. So that is rough, but still making good time since then, getting to the Ginso Tree. This is probably for Loopy going to be a qualifier that does not factor into the best 3, so it's kind of just like, okay, now we're just doing a reset run. That's just how it goes.
Sometimes that's good, of course, and our rules do say you can play up to 7 qualifiers in order to get credit for times here, so It's just the best 3 of those times. But here we go, Cheese Lover heading into a trick called Swamp Entry. He looks like he is in not a great spot. Took a little bit of damage there, but his goal here is to use Bash to move this frog into a good position. He's going to use him to break these barriers that are normally intended to be broken at a completely different time, using completely different means. And so here he is, grabbing this Bash, grabbing this projectile with a double Bash, and a second one there to break that ceiling. Very nice. Double Bash, a little trick where you can bash the same projectile twice, and the first one will move it in some direction. The second one will move you in a different direction that you specify. So he can get through and get into Swamp very cleanly. He's going to be able to get his Stomp skill just a few moments from now, and Richard will be coming upon his Swamp entry in just a few moments as well.
Yeah, in the meantime, Lupia's had a little bit of trouble taking a couple deaths in the first couple of rooms against Ginso, which is annoying because it messes with your camera when you respawn due to some cutscene shenanigans. But it's getting through there now. Richard onto the Swamp entry is able to get the frog into the first position, only going 4. Looks like, yeah, double bash here, gets 1, gets 2, and is in through the Swamp, so nice job from Richard getting in there.
Head back to Primorix real quick on the bottom left. He's just wrapping up his mini-boss at the end of Ginso, so he will be leaving the Ginso tree as well. If you did play this casually, you remember that at the top of the Ginso tree here, you should have been heading up to continue and restore the element to the waters, and that would clean the water throughout the world. But boy, that is a huge waste of time, so we're going to skip all that. And that does mean that the water is going to be poisoned for the rest of the run, which means at the end of the final escape, there's going to be some poison water, and that's the main reason why these runners will need a specific amount of health. Is Cheese right now coming up to a cutscene skip here, which he pulls off first try. Very nice. It looks like nothing happened, Sigma, but in reality, there was a cutscene there, and well, now there is.
Yeah, that's a very precise skip, and Cheese is going to opt to take this health cell here, which puts him up to 5 now, so that's nice little bit of extra safety. Makes it easy to go up to 6 health if he wants to for the final escape, but this does afford him a hit on spikes and Zero Pass, and only loses, I think, to the order of 2 seconds to grab that health cell over a different one. So it's good stuff for Cheese, and Richard is going to be coming up on this Crow cutscene skip as well. You know, if he wants to stay even, maybe catch up a little bit on Cheese, he is absolutely going to need to nail this one coming up. So we'll see how it goes for Richard. He's got a bash from precise position, get through this cutscene trigger without activating it, takes a hop over shot to get his position a little bit better, gets through it on that second shot, so it's good stuff for Richard.
Meanwhile, Primorix pulling off his Swamp entry with what appeared to be some very questionable antics with that frog, but he managed to get through, so he's heading to Stomp right now, inside Swamp. Those words sound so similar. Loopy, having just acquired Bash, he will be heading up the Ginso tree to wrap that up and do the same. You know, at this point, both the bottom runners, they're both basically just going to be, you know, kind of relative to one another. They're just going to be playing as fast as possible. Again, who wins the race really does not matter in the grand scheme of things. And in fact, these runners might not even know that we're talking about their races as though they're competing against one another. But it's fun for me, at least.
Yep. So getting back to Cheese in the lead here, he's now in Valley entry. He's leveled up Air Dash, which lets him dash in the air, as you might guess, and will soon be getting Charge Dash, which is purely insane movement. But first, he's coming up to a trick we like to call Fast Stompless. In the story of this game, you go out in the valley here, you walk over to the left, and you see the main antagonist of the game, Kuro, is watching Valley and won't let you through, so you gotta go up and stomp some rocks to scare her away. But instead of doing that, we're just going to shoot a spider shot at a precise angle at the rocks, dash away quickly, grab an ability cell, and then the spider shot destroys the rocks for us, and the game gets a little confused, teleports us into Valley, and Cheese, pulling that off all successfully, will be grabbing Feather momentarily, so pretty nice stuff there. And Richard will be coming up on that soon, as well as Permerix and Loopy Loo, who are working their way towards that. Permerix, misses that Kuro cutscene skip, so we do get to see the bird show up a little bit earlier over here.
Yeah, I've got to watch some of Primorix's attempts, and this is definitely one of the tricks that's giving him some problems. This is a precise position to get that bash, so it's very, very common for newer runners to struggle with it. Meanwhile, Cheese, as he's heading into his next major trick in the top right, it's called Sorrow Bash, and he's going to make use of these birds and the Bash skill to head on into Sorrow Pass before restoring the element of the winds. In fact, he's never going to restore the element of the winds. He's just going to make his way right up in here, and then the wind is actually on in Sorrow Pass, even when you have not done the Forlorn Ruins, so he can just continue on up here. He is also using a trick called Rocket Jumping, where you perform a charge dash at an enemy above you and you jump in the middle of the charge dash, and that actually causes you to just go flying into the sky. So we're already at the charge jump tree segment in basically no time.
Yeah, that's right. Loopy Loo in the bottom right now, going for Swampentry. Missed a couple double dashes, is trying to get one here, gets it. Very nice that time, is able to break in now, so gets through that. Primarix grabbing Charge Flame now, which unlocks the ability to level up further and get Air Dash. And here comes Richard on Sorrow Bash. Cheese nailed this one, but at first try. Richard's going to grab some energy here, make a quick safety save over to the left, and will now be trying to manipulate these birds in a desirable way to get in. Gets one following him. That bird was a little... Okay, this is an interesting position, but he saves it with some double bashes. Nice adaptation from Richard there to get in there.
Ooh, that was terrifying. It's really worth mentioning that Richard playing on controller, there's a method to double bash on keyboard and mouse that is significantly easier than the default inputs. You normally have to press the button, release it for exactly 1 frame, and then press it again. But Richard actually has a technique that was invented by another Ori runner named Infinite, where he can do double bashes with controller, and so he's able to make use of those. It's not 100%. No method of double bashing is really 100%, but it's close enough that he was able to use it successfully here.
Yeah, and speaking of double bashes, Loopy Loo did a nice sequence of double bashes on a mortar shot to get up to Stomp, which saves a very small amount of time but looks cool.
Alright, she's having just acquired the Sunstone, the key to the final dungeon. So we've skipped the key to the second dungeon, we've skipped finishing the first dungeon, we're not even going to go to the second dungeon. And we've gotten the key to the third dungeon, so all we got to do is go collect our remaining skills, and then we can finish the game. And so the next skill for Cheese Lover in the top right is going to be Climb. He's going to find it deep in the Misty Woods. And so there's going to be some very awesome movement here, using Charge Dash to go to enemies, which normally costs him energy, but if he cancels it with either a Stomp or a Bash, then that will refund the energy from the Charge Dash. So he's going to use that quite a bit to his advantage to be able to traverse Misty quickly. Primorix in the bottom left, he is now entering Valley. He's going to be doing what we call Stomp Full, where he's not going to do the stompless trick that Cheese and Richard did. He is just going to stomp these rocks the intended way onto Kura's head, and he will be able to collect feather as well.
Yeah, and this method has the benefit of being able to place a safety save that he'll probably go back to and rekindle before going into Sorrow Bash, and that gives you some extra safety and doesn't waste energy for it, because you have to save anyways to level up Charge Dash, so saving up there is nice. Cheese, in the meantime, is torn through the first half of Misty, grabbed Climb, and now we'll be heading through the second half of Misty. This is an area that we can't skip without going out of bounds, so we get to move through it instead, and a lot of runners really enjoy through this area because you have almost all of the movement skills now, and you just get to fly through these spikes. It can be pretty scary, but Cheese does have 5 health now, so, you know, has the liberty of taking a spike hit, save once, and then take another spike hit once. But so far, this Misty's looked really, really nice from Cheese. No mistakes that I can see at all.
Meanwhile, we have Primorix in the bottom left taking a death on Sorrow Bash, but one nice thing about the way he's set up that save, as you mentioned, is that he's got a quick retry spot. He also has 4 health, so he can take, 5 health, so he can take 1 damage boost on those 4 damage spikes in Sorrow Pass. So he is able to make his way in on the second attempt. Is really, really solid. A little bit of a problem getting here up off the bird.
I think that's an intentional death there after losing a bit of energy.
That could be, for sure. And it certainly helped him out a little bit. Loopy Loo coming up Valley is going to be doing either Stomp Full or Stompless momentarily. Richard having just gotten Climb, and Cheese Lover vaporizing the Misty mini-boss. So I know he's going to feel good about that. He told us before the race that the Misty mini-boss had been giving him trouble lately.
Yeah, and then we take a look at Atsu's torch, which we normally use to get the key to Forlorn, but as Vula's been mentioning, we don't actually care too much about saving the forest by restoring all of the events that we're supposed to restore. We're just getting the skills and we're getting out of here, so just look at it and then you leave. And, oh, his experience might be a little low. Yeah, he stops to kill an enemy to get a level up. It was just a little bit short somehow.
That's hilarious. I didn't even notice. That's a huge pain, actually, if you're, you know, expecting to level up at the mini bosses. Most runners do get one. To be able to recover that is really good, though, as Cheese Lover and Loopy Loo high-fiving a little bit there. Cheese heading out of Valley, Loopy just picking up Glide. Primorix, meanwhile, he's got his save anywhere up. This is a trick we didn't mention earlier. It's called a Terra Break, where we're going to go up to the ceiling that is breakable in Star Pass, and we're going to die while charge jumping, and that carries the charge jump effect into the save that we just made below that ceiling, and that causes the ceiling to break, so we're able to make our way up to the Sunstone. And Loopy, meanwhile, is heading up to the top of Valley, so he's going to begin work on his Sarabash, as Richard just wraps up Misty, and Cheese is descending back into Blackroot Burrows.
Yep, nice cycles for Cheese coming in here. Richard, not too far behind Cheese, but there's not much run left, so if this was actually a head-to-head, it would look like Cheese has this one unlocked, but you know, we'll see what happens. There's a few tricks still at the end of the game that can be a little scary, so, you know, it's worry anything.
Indeed, and a quick update, we do have a number of other races. We did hear that one of our races, Shed, was 8.5 seconds ahead of his PB at Feather. That, of course, certainly may have changed. I'm sure we'll get an update at some point. Meanwhile, we had also heard that Richard is 6 seconds behind his PB as of Climb. His segment coming out of there was pretty good, so he may still be on good pace. I know Richard was on PB pace in the second qualifier race, Sigma, and he just unfortunately lost it to a number of misses of a trick that you kind of alluded to at the end of the run.
Yeah, there's a few of them, and we'll see Cheese get into it first. It's a whole bunch of frame perfect stuff. Oh my good god, Richard. Okay, well that sorry for that PB pace, but that one's gone now.
Feels bad, man. Alright, well, as we mourn that, we've got Primorix in the bottom left, heading deeper into Misty. We've got Loopy having just collected Charge Jump. He's heading back to perform his Terror Break, and Cheese is heading to the entrance of the final dungeon, Sigma Mount Horu. He's going to be doing a number of fun tricks, but the first one is everyone's favorite door.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things to do with things being off by one frame or whatever, and it just so happens in this game, if you enter any door and in the first frame that the game loads, the destination from the door is not fully loaded, so it just kind of goes to a default location. The default location of the door inside Horu is the bottom of Horu. You don't have to do any of this dungeon, you just do this door warp trick and you'll be right there. Cheese gets it on the first try and is heading directly into the final escape now.
This is a very, very nice pace for Cheese. This is easily a 31 if he doesn't make it, sorry, actually easily a high 30 if he doesn't make any major mistakes here, which is actually pretty close to his PB, so we'll see how close he's able to come. Richard is trying to follow as quickly as possible, but yeah, that death was just very rough and probably put an end to his PB hopes, but we'll see. Loopy exiting Star right now, just got the Sunstone. Primorix working on the back half of Misty, which again is where some of this very difficult movement is. Probably not on PB pace on his part either. His PB is a 35 and change. Would be a little bit rough from this point, but we'll see what he's capable of doing. Cheese coming to the end here.
Yep, so this is what the health is all for. Cheese needs to get through this swim without taking any damage. Wow, Bird was very close to killing him, but he's now through the swim. He has just charge jump up the side here, skips across where the Kuro trigger is, so there's no bird chasing him at the end. Now has to set up for the grenade jump to skip part of the final cutscene. This is a throw a grenade and then do a charge jump. One frame later, it's not the easiest thing, and every time you throw the grenade, you lose half an energy, so he's lost 1.5 energy now. He had some trouble with this in the races before. He wants to get this trick to cut some time off of this, and Richard is already coming into the final escape now, so if Cheese, you know, meets Catastrophe and jumps from the wrong position, he could be sent back to the final escape. He's actually out of energy.
That's all his energy.
Go to the end.
Man. Yeah, so he needs to recover here, first of all, and yeah, he'll just have to cross this final trigger here. So he's going to watch a minute and a half of the final cutscene here, while Richard has a chance to finish the escape. I don't know that Richard's going to be able to beat him, Sigma, but it'll be close.
Yeah, it'll be close if Richard can get first try. I think Cheese had too much of a lead for it to matter in terms of their head-to-head, but it could be another, like, 2-second part finish, especially if Cheese doesn't dismiss the text right away. He's maybe a little bit on edge from the misses on that, but here comes Richard into the swim, has 1 health left, that's all he needs. Will be heading up into this grenade jump. Richard, I think, took a couple attempts at this trick as well in the second qualifier. Gets rocked. Oh, that one hurts.
Yeah, boy, you know what? At least if your PB pace is already dead and that happens, it's just like icing on the cake. But God, if that ends your PB pace, I mean, you specifically can tell me how much that sucks.
It hurts. It really hurts. Deep in your soul.
Oh, jeez. Cheese will be coming to the end here in just a moment. Just needs to hold right a few more seconds. Richard gets out of the water for the second time, and he just needs to dodge these rocks. Primoric's coming into the grenade trees. Here's Richard's attempt, top left. On the grenade jump, he's got his aim in position, and he gets it first try. Maybe that's a consolation prize for him, but that will allow him to finish in about half of the time on that final cutscene. And meanwhile, on the bottom right, we've got Loopy working on that second half of Misty, which again is where you get to really see, kind of how much work each runner's really put into their, high octane movement in this run.
Yep, that's right. Primarix grabs a grenade now, so skills complete there. Just has to go to Horu and finish it up. Could show us a much better Horu than Cheese and Richard both did with their various escape-related issues, as Loopy takes out that mini-boss. Nice kill. Neither of them managed to make it back underground, so that's the good stuff. And we'll be heading towards Grenade shortly as well.
Ouch. This Primorix steps very, very gingerly directly into a laser, kind of testing it, seeing whether it really does instantly kill you, and it does, in fact, instantly kill you, and wow, okay. That was some confidence there with that second laser, but he does get past it and not die. As you can see, the final times for Cheese Lover and Richard there on the screen. Cheese coming up with a 32:08, and Richard coming up with a 32:50. Both pretty solid times. Certainly not necessarily what they both want because of kind of the circumstances surrounding them, but still very good times.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, all runners can take up to 7 attempts at these qualifiers to get a good average out of their top 3, and these times are pretty good for Cheese and Richard, but they're times that they're capable of completely replacing, getting 3 times totally better than this, so they'll be taking their opportunities at that later throughout the qualifier series, and we'll see what they can get. I feel like both these guys are definitely bound for the bracket, though, but they of course want as good seeding as they can get.
Yeah, and I mean, Richard, he wants that PB. And it's coming real soon. Like, when you're getting times that are, on PB pace deep into the run, it's going to happen before too long. But now we've got Loopy reaching the grenade tree, so he'll be able to get out of here pretty quickly and head to Mount Horu, which is where Primorix is. And here comes Door Warp, and we'll see what kind of method Sigma that he's going to use here. I believe I saw Cheese taking advantage of the scroll wheel to try to get those up inputs as quickly as possible. Primorix times it, and he gets it on the first try. So that is very, very nice to be able to do, just kind of make yourself a little more confident there at the very end of a difficult run.
Yeah, that's right. And I want to kind of lead into something that Loopy Lou is going to do at the end. Everybody here did the same version of the final escape where you watch this cutscene with the birds like, don't take my element of warmth. You're like, oh crap, you got to get out of here. But you can actually skip this cutscene. You have to do these first 2 rooms that Primorix just got through without being able to see, which is a little troubling because all the lava kills you, and Loopy Lou is going to be going for that skip, I do believe. So it's gonna be a little bit fun stuff at the end of this race here. But Primorix getting through, has not taken any damage so far, so has all the health necessary for the swim. Getting into the water now, 1 bash, 2 bashes, and is now on to the final ascent to the end of the game.
Yeah, but that charge jump right at the end there, underrated, skips a trigger for spawning Kuro, who would then make it very difficult for you to have the time to line up this grenade jump. Primorix sets it up, and he gets it first try. That is going to be a low 36 for him, so GG. That is really close to his PB, and really shows off his level of confidence and preparation that he's already put in this run. And Loopy
Wow.
Lou
They got the full G jump all the way over Horu Fields. Took a little bit to set it up, but man, that one looks good.
Oh my goodness. Well, maybe won't be the time that Loopy Lou wants, but will definitely have some swag to end here, and we will be coming up to his warmth skip in just a moment as soon as he door warps. You know, I believe the comment he put to us, Sigma, was that he should not be doing this trick.
You know, self-awareness is good, but you can't stop yourself sometimes. So having a little bit of trouble with the roll-up here, every other runner got it pretty quickly, but that's, you know, not the norm. Is able to get it now, it's not the easiest thing. And here we go. So here's how warmth skip works. The game saves right before you go into this door. You start the cutscene, you confuse the heck out of the game by telling it to exit the menu twice while you're exiting the menu, and then the cutscene is still going. Oh, he's trying to charge jump.
Oh god, he pressed up 50 times.
Oh dear, okay. Well, okay, so you see the camera's freaking out. He's trying to move through, gets through, and snaps the camera back. So good warmth skip from Luffy. Manages to save that little time watching the cutscene there and is now into the final escape. Now, one side effect of this is you don't get your energy back, so you've got to be careful how much energy you spent going through Horu Fields and whatnot. And that's part of the reason for the grenade jumps there. But he's onto the swim now, taking damage. God dies! Oh no!
Ouch. Well, he gets a save automatically right outside the door, so he can retry this. It's not the easiest thing in the world, Sigma, certainly, but you know, he was pretty much right there. I think he missed it only by like a small number of frames there. Hopefully on this one he'll be good. That swim looked really good. It's very precise. I think he went with 5 health as well, so that just makes it even more difficult.
Only 2 hits before the first fish is able to get out that time. Very nice, and we on to the final section. Won't have much energy, so missed grenade jumps here could be very annoying. There's a little hop off the wall there to set the X position up right. Throws a grenade once. How much energy is left? At least enough to throw that grenade, but we still need half an energy to actually succeed the trick. Oh no, we're getting low. There's 1 grenade left in Luffy's inventory, and it does not work, so he's gonna have to watch the cutscene like Cheese did. The right side of the screen. A little cursed on the grenade jumps, but that was still a nice escape from Luffy, who's showing off the blind movement out of the warmth skip twice in a row. It was pretty cool.
And as he has been for most of this run, drawing some lovely hearts for us. Those are actually very like coherent heart shapes. Like you can clearly tell he might be an artist of some sort. But yeah, we love the Ori community as well, and it's great to be back on Speed Gaming. I'm really looking forward to more of this action on here as Loopy will just hold right for a little bit to finish up. Primorix's final time, 36:24 here. So that, again, you know, being within a minute of his PB, basically, very, very solid time for him. His improvement, boy, it's come quickly, Sigma.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, you know, as we're winding down to the end of this race here, I want to shout out some of the runners who were running in this qualifier, but not we have coming in first place in this qualifier. Not that it matters because you're just racing for your own average times. Shed with a 30:18. Lurking Assassin came in second with 31:16 after I think there was some issues in the later half of the run for him, but was able to finish that one up. Muffin just behind with 31:23 as Loopy picks up 39:37 at the end of that there. And actually C Average was running in this, picked up a 36:41 in this qualifier. His old PB was 39:01, so it's like over 2 minutes faster than his old personal best. That is sick.
Dude. That's ridiculous. And I mean, like, GG to him because he's been working so hard and been so frustrated. It's a very easily frustrating category. And don't get us wrong, this category is very fun to run, but can also be very frustrating because it involves a ton of very difficult tricks. As you've seen a number of them here, and you've seen some of our runners struggle with some of them here. So to be able to pull off that 2-minute, 20-second PB in a race setting is really awesome for him. We also had Raziel wrap up in 5th place, 32:28. Richard on stream here was 32:50. Monkley, Richard's good friend, actually finished 8 seconds behind him with a 32:58, which is fantastic. And OG 1764, 3722, Sloters, 3759, Loopy, and 9-ball actually finishing 1 second apart, 39, 37, and 38. That's hilarious.
Okay, so if you want to, you can go back, watch the VODs of these qualifiers, do a monthly Richard head-to-head, do a Loopy 9-ball head-to-head. You can watch Shed and Lurking choke the end of the run, apparently.
Oh, jeez. Well, that was a great performance by all 4 of our runners. Definitely, I'm really excited to figure out who we're gonna get to showcase on future races. Really, is the main thing for me. But yeah, you can all follow the action as far as the qualifier times that people get. If you go to, we can post this link in chat, but it's tiny.cc/Ori All Skills Qualifiers. We'll have all the people's times there. Richard and Loopy among, I think, a couple people who have now completed 3 races already, which is the minimum needed in order to have a qualifying time. So now they will have those things, and so you'll see their averages. But everyone else, they'll still need to get in their 2nd and 3rd races before you see a computed average on that document.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be fun to watch the standings, and I believe our next series of qualifiers is going to be played this coming Monday. So nothing on Sunday, but Monday there will be qualifiers. We'll have to see if we rebroadcast any, but all of them will be played at 11 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Eastern, and the time this one started at 10 p.m. Eastern to give a good distribution of time zones for people to go into. And yeah, that'll be fun. Seeing who's gonna grind out the times early, who's maybe strategically waiting till later in the tournament to do their qualifiers. We'll see.
Yeah, and if you do want to watch those, of course, even the ones that don't have rebroadcasts, all of the runners will be streaming their runs, so you will be able to basically just go to the Ori game directory on Twitch at those times. Again, 11 a.m., 3 p.m., and 10 p.m. The dates are listed on the Ori Discord in the tournament announcements channel, so if you want to come join our Discord, I believe that's in the !Ori command in chat. You can come on in, join us there, talk about the tournament, and cheer on any of your friends that happen to be participating, and cheer on the people you don't even know, because it's still all a big community thing for us, and we're very excited to be able to bring it to you again. But for now, Sigma, I guess that's it for us tonight.
Yeah, that wraps up our first qualifier broadcast. Hopefully we'll see you all around at the next one, wherever and whenever that may be. So thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you next time.
Have a good night.